Why do you keep trying to hide under your mask? Even all the scars from your mistakes make up your constellation. You have shown me I have reasons I should love myself. Those are a few lines from Answer Love Myself by BTS, and it felt right to open this episode and entire podcast with them. First of all, hi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Johanna, but you can call me Jo, and I am an ARMY. That is the main reason I started this podcast, even though I won't exclusively talk about BTS here. But I'll wait till the end of the episode to tell you a little bit more of what you can expect from the podcast. Let's focus on the more important thing first, which is of course BTS, and the fact that they are celebrating their 10th anniversary now. We get to look back on a decade of the most successful and powerful group in the world right now, and how they changed the music industry, pop culture, and every single life that they have touched. Because their impact transcends the music world or the records they've broken. I asked my Instagram followers to share their story with BTS, of how they impacted and improved their life, and we'll talk about the many things BTS have done for us as ARMYs. But before we'll get to this more personal effect they have on us, let's celebrate BTS's birthday by reminiscing about their achievements and success in their field of work at large. It's impossible to accurately portray their success and impact in one little episode, so I'm merely giving an overview of their achievements and impact on the industry. Grab yourself a snack or a cup of tea while I gush over how BTS are the most successful group right now. Let's go. Regardless on where you stand on the infamous paving the way argument, it's undeniable that BTS have been the first K-pop group to sustainably break into the Western market. They were the first K-pop group to win a BMA award in 2017, and that's where their success in the West really took off. They were the first K-pop act or Korean act on many different American late-night shows or radio stations. They were the first K-pop group to get a #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart with the Love Yourself tier, the first K-pop group to lead the Billboard Artist chart, the first K-pop group to earn a top 10 single on the Billboard Hot 100, first to get the #1 spot on that chart. They earned that spot with 6 songs in total now. They are the most streamed group, not just K-pop group, but in general on Spotify, and were the 5th most streamed artist overall on Spotify in 2022. They hold the record for biggest debuts on various platforms, including records for most viewers during a YouTube premiere, as well as streams over 24 hours, most Twitter engagements, most live viewers for a concert live stream, biggest tours, sold out stadiums. They are the first K-pop act to get nominated for a Grammy. They were nominated 3 times in total now. They are the most awarded K-pop act, have won the most Daesangs. They are the most awarded group ever at the BBMAs. They were selected as envoys for the Korean president, which included getting diplomatic passports, which is still so wild to me. They performed at the UN and spoke there 3 times in total. They were invited to the White House and met up with American President Joe Biden. And right now they're continuing to break records and to widen their reach while being active as solo artists. They built an empire and turned an almost bankrupt label to an international multi-platform, multi-label mega company that HYBE is now, that is both dominating the Korean industry as well as branching out internationally. Let's focus more on the Korean industry before talking about BTS's international impact. Because there need to be studies about what influence BTS had on the idol system and K-pop industry. For example, the trends they set, starting with simple items of clothing or musical sounds or themes that were copied or served as inspiration for other groups, and ending with the fact that more idols are allowed to participate in the songwriting process, or that BTS opened the door for promotions in America. I truly believe that many K-pop groups would not exist the way they do now if it weren't for BTS. Interacting with fans on Twitter was first really done by BTS, and a lot of other groups started their Twitter accounts around 2017 when BTS won the Billboard Music Award for Top Social Artist. Suddenly, after 2018, everyone was talking about loving themselves. Universe storylines and music videos became more popularized. Having album trilogies or chapters is another trend popularized by them. So are Halloween dance practices. Having music releases on Fridays 1 p.m. Korean Standard Time for the best charting success on US charts is now a common strategy for bigger groups who aim to chart well in the US and was first done by BTS. And of course, going on American talk shows and promoting comebacks in the US. BTS influenced the K-pop industry massively, although they have at least one foot out of that door now. They have broken with conventions, they create music that is unheard of in the K-pop world, just think of J-Hope's Jack in the Box, and they don't really behave in the way K-pop idols are supposed to behave. They have called out rude fans multiple times now, they have complete control over what kind of promotions they do, and are free to only do what's right for them personally as people and artists. Fans are understanding more and more that Jungkook is allowed to smoke and drink, even on livestream. That they have been dating people for years, and that's absolutely none of our business, even if it's a date with another K-pop idol in Paris. They only do the amount of social media they feel comfortable with, and every member has different platforms they prefer, and not updating on any platform for weeks or even months is okay too. They have always had more freedom to express themselves than the average K-pop group, I would say, but I love to see that they're straying even further away from the idol system and are free to do what they want. And I'm really curious to see how they will change even more in the future. They rewrote the game, even though in the early years the Korean music industry did their best to sabotage BTS's success, which is a topic for another day. And of course, when BTS first started to promote in the US, the American music industry did the same thing. And honestly, they still do it. They mistreat, misrepresent, and disrespect BTS as people and artists. But nevertheless, BTS persisted, and they, supported by ARMY, have made it impossible for the general public to ignore them. They eventually, and rightfully, became an important non-American part of American music shows and in pop culture at large. They have faced a lot of racism because of that, but also brought so much change. They broke the language barrier with their music and introduced many people to the idea that subtitles are a thing. Suddenly, it's normal to see Jimin or Yoongi be interviewed by Jimmy Fallon without them having to speak English. Also, Korean acts like J-Hope and TXT are headlining a major music festival like Lollapalooza. A Korean song got nominated for a Grammy, and there are many more examples how they have, against all xenophobia and racism, persisted in the American and overall Western music industry without having to compromise their Korean identity. Overall, pop culture has seen a significant change, from being Western-dominated to shifting the lens to the East, and more specifically to South Korea. K-dramas like Squid Game, movies like Parasite, and K-pop are now part of American TV, entertainment, and award shows, and part of the mainstream. There is a growing interest in Korean fashion, makeup, and food. It would be delusional to only give credit to BTS. There are many elements working at once, but BTS have been, in my opinion, the most important or impactful puzzle piece of this phenomenon. They generate an immense amount of interest for the country. In hard numbers, this means they're bringing $5 billion per year to the Korean economy, which is 0.5% of Korea's GDP. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're thinking of the huge electronics industry or automobile industry, international companies like Hyundai or Samsung, 0.5% doesn't seem that low anymore. And the thing is, BTS were the face of both of these brands, which generated more money for them. So BTS's influence is even bigger than the $5 billion. Research in 2018 found that every 13th tourist in Korea visited the country because of BTS, and I can imagine the number has only increased since then. BTS have spread Korean culture like no other. In every part of the world, people are learning Korean because of them, watch Korean entertainment, eat Korean food, or visit Korea. The soft power they hold for their country is insane, and no other project like a TV show or movie or another musical act comes even close to that kind of impact. I think one element why ARMYs in particular became so interested in Korea is because BTS always showed pride in their country and never tried to seek the West's approval by burying their Korean identity. They have always integrated their Korean identity in their art. For example, I learned so much about Korean culture just by reading lyrics to their songs. And their content, like Run BTS for example, always included Korean games, food, customs, different locations in Korea. No wonder they were appointed ambassadors for tourism or tourism in Seoul. No other celebrity or idol could fill out that role like they do. And they earned the title of representatives of their country. Another thing that just feels right is how they have always used their reach and influence responsibly and found ways to do good. That goes for both their lyrics and the way they present themselves to the world overall. From the very beginning, they had a rather anti-establishment stance and spoke out about socioeconomic inequality in Korea, about political injustice, societal issues, and later, of course, a lot about mental health and self-love. They became a voice for the youth and made many people feel seen and understood. But I'll get more into that when we're talking about ARMY stories. Other than that, they have donated to charity regularly. The most prominent donation they made was to the Black Lives Matter movement, when they donated $1 million, and ARMYs matched their donation within 24 hours. And they have spoken up about the racism they faced themselves. They were honest about their struggles and always advocated for kindness, love, and respect. And that behavior is spreading over to the fans. We can't deny the toxic online fans who call themselves ARMY, who really don't deserve that name. But the real-life ARMYs and majority of online fans as well are mirroring the kindness BTS is advocating for. Like the way ARMYs leave behind the side of a concert with no garbage lying around, how they wore masks at a concert even if it wasn't mandatory anymore, just out of respect for one another, the way we treat the people BTS work with. There is this thing Halsey said in an interview on the Zach Sang show that I always think about. She said that ARMYs were intelligent, funny, tasteful, and charitable. And she talked about how fans have donated to charity in her name in order to thank her after her collaboration with BTS on Boy With Love. And it's true, BTS's generosity is mirrored by the fans. ARMYs are always doing charity projects for the members' birthdays, for example. There are thousands of initiatives by ARMYs that are helping environmental issues like animal rescue, planting trees, and also, of course, donating to people in need. When the Map of the Soul tour was cancelled, people donated their refund money, for example. It's just beautiful to see how BTS have inspired fans to do good all over the world and how they spread happiness. And speaking of fandom, I feel like for a lot of people, ARMY has revolutionized what the fandom of a boy band can look like. How diverse in every way, with people from all over the world, of every gender and every age, their music and message have a universal appeal and all kinds of people can identify with it and with them as people. So not only is ARMY revolutionary as a fandom, first of all, of course, BTS is revolutionary as a boy band. Most importantly, in the kind of topics they write about, how gracefully they fill out this insane role that they catapulted themselves into, in how they choose to present themselves to the world, and in the many ways they have done good. So that was my little recap of how they impacted the industries they're active in and what records they have broken over the span of their career. Let's move on to the more personal side of things, to what ARMYs have to say about them and the way they have impacted the lives of their fans. As I said, I asked my followers on Instagram to tell me their story with BTS because I wanted to know if and how BTS have improved their lives. And for that, I did some polls on Instagram. The first question was, did your life improve by knowing BTS? Which was a very basic question. And 100% of people said, yes, BTS did improve their lives. I did not expect any other outcome of that question. I also asked, have they ever brought a smile to your face or made you smile? To which, again, 100% of people said yes. And the third question I asked was, did you find friends through them in real life or online? And 79% of people said yes, and 21% said no, which I think is still a pretty good outcome, and it's nice to think that many ARMYs were able to connect to other people through BTS. Some people answered a question sticker thingy where I asked how BTS changed their life. Someone said, short version, they taught me self-love, which I think a lot of ARMYs can relate to. Another person said, I really found comfort in them and met a few people that are very close to me right now. Another person said, which I think is so sweet, for me they were the hope that love exists, also that dreams do come true. And someone else said, BTS helped me to get through a rough time in my life and made me smile when I felt like crying. Which I think, again, a lot of people, a lot of ARMYs can relate to. Before I go on, I want to say a really big thank you to everyone who voted and who shared their stories with me. It was so beautiful to read through all of your answers, and I hope all of you who are listening right now will feel the same way. So besides these shorter answers I just read, I also received a lot of DMs where people told me their story, and without further ado, let's just get into them. So one ARMY wrote, "For my whole life I was a people pleaser. I never said the things I wanted and never shared my thoughts because I was scared of what other people might say or think about me. Over time I stopped thinking about what I thought and only about what others would like to hear. In March 2022, my dad passed away. My way of mourning was to cut off all of my emotions. I focused on my jobs because I felt that I had to help my mom with bills, etc. But in this rough situation, no one asked me how I'm doing or how I feel. I haven't asked this myself. Even more monotony than before set into my life. I had planned a trip to Budapest with my best friend, but I was hesitating. Like, how can I go and have fun when my dad just passed away? But I went, and it was a good decision. I was able to break the routine, spend some time with my friend who wasn't sure how to help me. One evening, she turned on BTS, specifically Black Swan, which will always have a special place in my heart. From that specific moment on, my life slowly started to change. I believe that they found me when I needed them most. That was the time when I was so tired of running forward without any direction or purpose, like running in place. These 7 grown men showed me that having fun and living in the present is important. When I was watching In the Soup, I was like, damn, they are themselves and they are not ashamed of it or hide their emotions. And that got me wondering, why should I be ashamed of myself? Why am I hiding? The right people should accept me, right? It doesn't matter if I'm in my 20s, 30s, or 40s. I should enjoy my life, do whatever I want, and take care of little me, my inner child. Because I think she grew up too fast in the shadows. Let her shine, girl, she said in brackets. I'm trying to slow down, stop for a moment, and think, where do I go? What do I want? Am I doing this for myself or for someone to praise me? Just focus on the present and feel my emotions. The good and bad ones, because they are important. I'm still learning, and it's not an easy process, but with them holding my hand, I'll do it. I'll spread my wings to fly." Thank you so much. That is such a beautiful story, and I'm so glad that they were able to help you in such a dark chapter of your life. I'm tearing up right now. Okay, that was a heavy one to start with. Let's move on to another story that was sent to me. Someone else wrote, "I didn't start listening to their songs until 2 months after I discovered them. It was 3 years ago. I tried listening, but since I didn't listen to Korean songs much, I couldn't connect to what they were singing. Instead, I watched Run, and then their interviews, their funny videos. I started reading about them, then I read their lyrics. When I felt that I knew them, I started listening to all their albums, song by song. Until now, I still haven't read all the lyrics nor listened to all the songs, but I'm taking my time to know them better. The first thought that occurred to me though when I read their lyrics was, this is poetry. Somehow they made me more accepting of life. More calm when I was faced with anything harmful or bad. Sometimes I wonder what life would be without them, and I still don't know why I'm so attached to them." Well, I'd say there are quite a lot of reasons that you just listed why you would be attached to them. Thank you so much for your answer. Another answer, or a list of things that BTS improved in their lives, I received in German because, for those of you who don't know, I am German and some of my friends are as well, and there was a person who's also German. So I'm gonna translate what she said. First of all, she said that she learned about new genres of music and that she especially learned to appreciate rap, which I can 100% agree with. That's exactly my experience. She said she's studying Korean now and even visited Korea because of them, and she was introduced to other artists and K-dramas through them. And then she listed a multitude of emotions and experiences she had because of them, because of BTS. She said they brought happiness, admiration, longing, grief, love, thirsting. she had thoughts and discussions about culture, music, fandoms, relationship, gender roles, the military, racism, all because of BTS. And she said they helped her in moments when she felt down by being either a distraction or through their music and through the feeling of being understood. And she said that they are a place of comfort or like a safe haven. And then she said something I absolutely love. She said she realized that she's allowed to lean into being a fangirl and that being a fan of something is nothing negative or to be ashamed of. And then she wrote #FuckMisogyny. Amen. Hi everyone, this is Editing Me. When I first recorded this episode, the topic of fangirls and misogyny sent me off into a rant that wasn't really comprehensive anymore, so this is me trying it again. We all know how messed up it is that the interests of young girls are systemically ridiculed, by grown men especially, and even I, as a somewhat grown woman, had preconceived notions about fangirls and boy bands and the alleged craziness that comes with it before I became an ARMY. It was only BTS who made me realize how much internalized misogyny I had. That's one more thing I'm unbelievably thankful for. So thank you for bringing up this important point, and let's continue to be cautious about the many ways society tells us to put down other women and girls. And now let's move on to the next story. Another ARMY wrote, I found my 4 best friends from them. They are like family to me, and I've only known them since 2020 because a common friend brought us together knowing we were all BTS fans. That common friend just thought we might want to get to know each other and fangirl together. Little did he know our friendship went so much deeper. These girls know me so much more than even my longest friends. Sharing life experiences and going through different hurdles with them and BTS really brought us closer. We have this understanding that only we have because non-ARMYs would never understand the kind of peace and happiness BTS can give us. Late night talks of self-love, crying together and keeping each other strong. I think the best gift BTS gave me were these girls. It was during COVID peak 2020 and we were all doing online classes. So my schedule was teach in the morning, then workout in the afternoon. I was doing Chloe Ting workout on YouTube because she was all hyped up back then and we couldn't really leave the house. After the workout, I was basically dying on the sofa when the next YouTube video played. Dynamite. I was going to change the video, but then I realized it was very catchy and I wanted to keep listening. I remember thinking, oh, this guy is cute, who's this? In brackets, JK. Then towards the end, I realized they were BTS. Of course, I knew the name. My students kept raving about them, and I just didn't really pay attention. Then I watched the Carpool Karaoke with James Corden, and I thought RM's English was really impressive. Jin was hilarious, and JK's voice was impressive. I didn't know the rest yet, but that was the beginning of my curiosity. I then started looking at other songs, and when I found Spring Day, it hit differently. I got emotional, and I wasn't sure why. It was a beautiful song, but I didn't understand the lyrics yet. I would say that's the song that did it for me. Then I shared it with my friend who was also starting to get to know them. We were baby ARMYs together, and shortly afterwards, we met the other girls who became our best friends. And she added, Mono also got me through some tough times. Like I had a friend going through it with me. These stories of people finding friendships and having deeper connections with people through BTS really, really resonate with me. And I'm so happy to know that you found such great friends because of BTS. Another German friend of mine also wrote her story with BTS, which I'm gonna translate as well. She said she also found new friendships through BTS. She learned to give things a chance that she wouldn't have before, which I found so interesting. That kind of reminds me of what I was talking about before with fangirling and boy bands and just these preconceived notions we sometimes have of things. And I'm glad that BTS proved us wrong. She said that Life Goes On gave her comfort. And then she said, I'm just gonna read it in German really quick. Ich verbinde BTS mit neuer Gemeinschaft, ganz viel positive Energie und einer gewissen Emotionalität, die ich aber sehr mag. So she said she connects BTS with a new community or companionship with a lot of positive energy and a certain emotionality, which she really likes. And then she also compared BTS to an anchor, which I also really relate to. So thank you so much for your story too. Here's another ARMY who found them in the pandemic. I think a lot of us did. And there was really a time in our lives when we needed an anchor. So this ARMY wrote, it was 2020. Pandemic was in its peak and the world literally stopped. And of course, I didn't know what to do. All the entertainment I used to spend my free time on was no longer interesting for me. Reading books, watching movies, it wasn't enough to take my mind out of things. I was afraid of losing people, but especially afraid of losing myself. Dynamite was a hit, and I was hearing it everywhere around social media. I knew BTS existed, but never thought it could be something I would be into, especially because I was never a music lover, barely listened to any music at all. But that silly summer song was always in my mind until I went and watched the music video. Loved the vibes and how happy they looked. After that, BTS videos were all over my YouTube feed, and I started watching music videos, interviews, compilations, and all the stuff new ARMYs consume. I had just started college and wasn't sure if I was in the right course. Here in Brazil, we have to decide which degree we will do right from the beginning. One day I was having an online class and this girl mentioned BTS and I fangirled a little on the chat. She messaged me after and we started talking about them. I knew nothing about them back then, and she was an old ARMY. We created this amazing friendship that saved my 2020 and 2021. She was also getting another girl to like BTS too, and we became this trio against the world. After a while, I decided to sit down and go through their whole discography, and that blew my mind. I have never seen lyrics like that I could relate so much to, that brought so much comfort and fun. They made me fall in love with music, and nowadays it's one of the things I love the most. When I say Paradise by BTS literally saved my life, I'm not even exaggerating. Until this day, they are my biggest comfort when bad mental health is killing me. Thank you so much for your story and your honesty. So the next story by an ARMY. I had almost given up when I found about BTS. I had heard about them before, though never explored much, but it wasn't their music or looks that brought me into them. It was their thoughts/intentions that attracted me, and that first UN speech given by RM made me an ARMY forever. Then I took my time in exploring their music, contents, etc., and found myself rooting for them in everything. Their music became my therapy. Their lyrics motivated me to go on. Their clumsiness/adorable habits made me happy. I respect and adore all 7 of them. They made the world bearable for me. I don't have any of their merch, neither have I ever been to any of their concert, but that doesn't matter. I do as much as I can to support them. It's editing me again. First of all, a big thank you to you for your story. All of you have shown so much vulnerability, and I appreciate that deeply. What I also wanted to say was that I really like the last point this ARMY made about the merch and not having been to a concert. What makes someone a fan is not the money we spend on our faves, and I just wanted to reiterate that no one should make you feel bad about not meeting any criteria, not knowing some lore, for example, as well. If you're a baby ARMY especially. If you enjoy their music and love them, you're an ARMY. Let's move on to the next story. Another ARMY talked about how she found out about BTS through her Korean class, which I think is really interesting to first learn Korean and then find out about BTS and not the other way around. And then she said, I feel songs usually through music and melody more than through lyrics, but I do love their lyrics. They always get me whenever I see them, but I can enjoy the song even without understanding the meaning. I always like to talk about Namjoon's song Soul. When I first read the lyrics, I felt like he took all of my thoughts and feelings about me moving to Prague and wrote a song about it. It was the first time I felt there could be a person in the other half of the planet who could see the world the way I do. After that, it happened many times. He always talks about thoughts and feelings I also have. I do believe we people are not really that different, despite living in Prague or in Seoul, being a K-pop star or a lawyer like me. She then talked about what she learned from BTS, and she said, I usually hear ARMY say they taught me to love myself more. I never had a problem with a lack of self-love. I am trying every day to be my best friend, but they taught me to love other people more and to love them more openly, more freely. Until I quote-unquote met BTS, I very often felt I'm living in an emotionless vacuum. I'm really not sure if that's how you pronounce that word, but let's move on. I never felt too many emotions, but thanks to them, I feel like I can feel more loudly and with bigger intensity, or I can just feel things. I am using the word love in English and in my native language daily. I added love to my daily dictionary because of them. Then she wrote about new friendships. She said, I love to meet other ARMY. I always feel they understand perfectly what I'm talking about. They understand the love I have for them. I don't need to explain anything to them. I love to share my love for BTS with them, but don't necessarily just talk about them. We have always a lot to talk about outside of the BTS topics, and I think that's great. Same, 100%. That's just my experience. BTS is this groundwork of this connection you have to another ARMY, this understanding of being an ARMY, and then On top of that, there is so much else that comes with this friendship and this understanding of each other. And then she went on to say that she went to a couple of museums because of Namjoon, but regretted going to contemporary exhibitions, because with all respect, I don't understand and like contemporary exhibitions. I definitely let him influence me. You know what? It's good that you had these new experiences, even if you didn't like them. It's completely valid to say you don't connect with it, just like with any other art form. Okay, that's just a side note. She also said that she loves Run BTS and it's so fun to watch it. But to be honest, I don't really watch extra content like dance practices, Bangtan bombs. Sometimes it's really a lot. Every single day something is released and I want to do and watch things outside of BTS. And she said, I love their Instagram. I think I really enjoy them being just humans. Same. She also said that thanks to Namjoon, she realized what kind of standards she has in people or potential partners, like the qualities of empathy, trust, and self-reflection, and the ability to vocalize the result of that self-reflection. And she said, I realized my capacity to love is bigger. She added later on, which I found really interesting too, that armies often say that BTS will find you when you need it the most. And she said, I don't think it was my case. I dealt with my situations on my own, but I feel like that they are guarding the doors from the past and they always push me to the future. I feel they really have a significant impact on me to trying to be the best person as possible. And she said, I love every day because of them. Every day, even if the day is far from being perfect, I smile and laugh because of them. They are home. And she also added later on something I feel so strongly as well. She said, to be completely fair, there is one negative thing I experience because of BTS and listening to more music generally. I read less, and I do mind it. Also, it's connected to using more social media. I definitely started to use Instagram more after they started their accounts. Sometimes I just find it hard to concentrate. Sometimes I rather listen to music on the bus instead of reading the book. Sometimes I just rather watch reels including BTS content. This is something I'm aware of and what I want to change. As I said, I can relate to that so much, and I feel like it's important to be honest about these kind of more negative sides of being an ARMY or a fan as well, and not just talking about the good stuff, because there's always good and bad. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay, so this is the last complete story that I received. And this ARMY wrote, similar to many other armies, I discovered BTS during a mentally challenging period of my 20s. And just like many others, I too claim that I didn't find them, but it was they who found me. They've helped me in so many ways and accompanied me through many challenges in my adult life. I was first drawn in by Jin's voice in Butter, but what made me an ARMY was their friendship, mutual respect, and ability to show love and affection to each other. Experiences from my past made me very careful with showing my emotions, and I was not aware of avoiding them until I watched In the Soup. Watching 7 adult men play together like children made me think that maybe it is okay to allow your inner child to experience life alongside you. I will always be thankful to them for showing me what friendship can look like. They've made me want to fight for relationships in my life and to feel and accept my emotions, both positive and negative, as a valuable part of myself and not something to hide or be ashamed of. As a Namjoon stan, I also feel that both Mono and Indigo have had a huge impact on my life. Using his words, Namjoon perfectly manages to embody what it means to be a flawed human, to be lonely, to overthink, to hurt others, and to be hurt. There are not enough words to describe the feelings I have for Kim Namjoon. I will forever be grateful for being able to live and grow by his side, and to watch him also grow on his own. His vulnerability, intelligence, and gentleness will forever motivate me to be a better person. However, most importantly, BTS members showed me how to have fun in life, how to live in the present, how to accept and love myself fully, and how not to be ashamed of things that make me happy. Yes. They assured me that not having a dream in life is also an option, and that everything goes, so I should look up to the sky more often and find my name by always speaking myself. Whew. That was so beautiful, and as a fellow Namjoon stan, that part also resonated with me so much. Thank you again to all of you for your stories. Hi, it's editing me again. I was really at a loss for words trying to express how much these stories moved me. That's why I deleted most of my immediate reactions while editing the episode, because it just sounded cringy and like I didn't mean what I said. So I'll have to say it here again. Thank you so much to everyone who sent me their story. I appreciate your honesty, and your words really, really moved me. I was tearing up constantly. I wasn't really able to make any insightful comments, but I think the stories you guys sent me speak for themselves. Let's get back to the actual topic of this episode, BTS and their impact. While reading all of your replies, I asked myself if the members know these types of stories. I think every ARMY has experienced at least one element of the stories we talked about today, and I hope that the members remind themselves enough of their positive impact on our lives. I hope they know they make the world a better place. I hope they know how much their music moves us, how they, simply by being themselves, inspire us. But honestly, I think they do. From what I can see, they actually take more pride in their impact on us than they do on their impact on the industry, the records, and the big achievements. And that is the reason they have always been so down to earth, have been aware of their responsibility, and always showcase their humility and gratitude. This is a good segue to the final question I asked on Instagram, which was, what makes BTS special to you? One reply fits really well with what I just said. It says, authenticity, genuine love and care for each other and their fans, growing alongside us. I agree 100%. Another reply talked about their authenticity too, and I completely agree with what it said again. They're so human and real, like I feel I relate to lots of the things they experience in life. Another one said, they're funny, kind, and full of love. They teach me to love other people more and more openly. I remember when I first got into them, I was so in awe how much they loved each other and how they showed that love to each other in so many different and beautiful ways. Especially during my time as a baby ARMY, they definitely inspired me to love people more openly too. Another reply said, they are family. Their songs give me a sense of comfort, like they're home. That's so true for me as well. Their music can sometimes just feel like a hug. And one series of replies touched on an entirely different topic. It said, they stand out because of the extensive research they do, especially the rap line before writing their lyrics. Other groups have okay-ish lyrics, but never as researched and comprehensive. Everyone nowadays has a quote-unquote concept, but BTS have resources like books, webtoons and movies, psychological stuff attached to it. Webtoons and music videos help too. That's a really interesting point, and I'd love to get into that more in future episodes, like the writing styles of the members and the philosophical and psychological concepts they include in their albums, like Nietzsche or the Jungian concept of identity, literature like Hermann Hesse, and so on. These elements of their music, the lyrics and meanings, are definitely one reason why I love BTS so much, and the way they express themselves in the music, or give so much of themselves into their music. They're authentic in everything they do, really. Also, they're talented, of course, in many different ways. They are 7 uniquely talented people with vastly different strengths that make up such a special combination. And when I say uniquely talented, I don't only mean their singing, rapping, dancing, or performing skills. They're also unique as artists, producers, songwriters. It's their different worldviews too, the way they express themselves, the way they speak and entertain and write and communicate. 7 people who have the same job couldn't be more different than they are, and I absolutely love how it's simply magic when they're together. They complement each other so well and create a magic soup of awesomeness when they work or even hang out together. And I really admire their way of showing their love for each other, communicating with each other, and how they make having differences work as a group. In addition to how talented and interesting all 7 of them are, they also just seem to be good people. We will never know the version of them they are when the cameras are off, but what they've shown to the world are amazing human beings. Flawed, sure, but good people who always give their best and show kindness to each other and everyone around them, and who deserve their success. All of these things are the reason I started this podcast. I think that BTS and their art deserve to be celebrated, to be studied, to be discussed and analyzed, and to be honest, so does ARMY as a fandom. I know there are already a lot of other people doing exactly that, but there can never be enough, and now I'm creating another space for ARMY to discuss certain aspects of BTS. I want to use the space to talk about everything that interests me, from BTS's music, of course, to marketing, their label, the industry. The plan is to not limit myself to BTS entirely. They will be the focus, but there will be topics that I discuss that are only loosely linked to them. During all of it, I will try my best to be honest, critical, and kind. I believe that criticism and kindness can go hand in hand very well. And if that sounds interesting to you, please think about subscribing to my YouTube channel where all the episodes will be uploaded, and please never be shy to share your opinions in the comments. If you have Spotify, it would mean a lot to me if you followed the podcast there. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I'll ask for your opinions in the future that I will include in the episodes. I have 2 accounts there, one purely for the podcast and one my personal one, all about books, Bangtan, and sharing some things of my personal life. I'd be happy to see you there, and thank you so much for listening all the way till the end of this episode. It wasn't my best work, but I'll work hard to improve with every episode to come. I can't wait to embark on this journey with all of you.